everyone, my name is Victoria. I have a degree in health and exercise science with a concentration in sports medicine, and I have been a certified personal trainer through the National Academy of Sports Medicine for over 7 years now. I have specialty certifications in TRX and kettlebells, and I once was both a spin and yoga instructor. So I have a lot of experience in the health world and the fitness world. Today, I'm going to be talking all about exercise with a chronic illness and with autoimmune conditions. I actually have a whole post on my website, a whole blog post, all about kind of this topic and a little bit more in depth about some of the things I won't get a chance to talk about today, just a little bit more into why it's important to move with chronic illness and some other pointers, although I'll have that link so you can easily check that out as well. I think it's a really good complement to all the information I'll be sharing with you guys today. So, I'm going to be talking about why it's important, why movement's still important even when you're ill, some kind of ground rules, how to get started, what your exercise routine may look like or should look like. And then I'm going to be sharing a couple exercises and stretches you can do in the comfort of your own home at the very end. So if you are home or you have the space, it'd be awesome if you stuck around and kind of follow along and did those with me at the very end. They might be useful for you. So I really believe movement is a key to life. I think it's super important for health and healing. For a lot of different reasons, and I'll be getting into a few of them today, but you know, there's so much science to back movement. It's really important for almost anybody. But that doesn't only mean high intensity workouts and long runs and dedicated lifting sessions. We're getting away from that, especially when you're dealing with an illness. Before I got super sick, I was a 4-sport athlete. I then became a personal trainer and studied this area, and so I was in the gym all the time, almost all day long, a lot of days. And when I got sick, I could barely stand up long enough to take a shower. So I know what it's like to go from super active to pretty much bedbound. And I think a lot of people watching, a lot of people I've run into in the autoimmune and chronic illness world were former athletes or gym rats, and now they almost feel lost because that piece of them is gone and they can't go work out the way that they used to. And I'm here to tell you that it is a mind shift, but it's still possible to move your body and have that be beneficial for you. I have used movement and fitness as a healing tool, as part of my healing routine. And like I just mentioned, it's a mind shift. And I've talked to a lot of other people in this situation. You really have to change the way you think of fitness. Before I was like, if I don't lift for an hour and then go for, my sprints, this doesn't count as a workout. But I've over the years had to shift my mindset into what movement is, what movement looks like, how it can be beneficial for me and not detrimental. And that's really allowed me to fall back in love with exercise and not overdo it and use it properly. So the other thing is in the mind shift is that your exercise routine now won't necessarily look the same as it used to or look the same as other people's. It's going to be different based on where you are in your healing process, how sick you are, what illness you're dealing with. There's a lot of factors there. And so you have to learn to stop comparing yourself to others, which is just a great tip in general. And I know that's really hard, and comparing yourself to what you used to be able to do. It's all going to be different now, and it's going to be okay still. So that's kind of my little pick-me-up rant for the start of this talk. And the other piece of that is saying movement and exercise isn't long gym sessions and long runs. Any type of movement still counts and still is vital to recovery. So I think in general, a lot of you will already know what the benefits of exercise, cardiovascular and weightlifting, what those benefits are and why it's so great for you. Everything from lowered cholesterol and blood pressure, improved mood and organ function, improved muscle mass and bone density, which can in turn lead to better metabolism. There's so many benefits to exercise, and I'm not going to go into all of that today, but I do want to talk about some specifics related to chronic illness and why exercise is still important with illness. So let's jump into that first. So obviously movement helps increase blood flow, which gets oxygen to vital organs and tissues in your body. So if you're recovering, we need to be getting that oxygen to your cells all over your body so that they have the energy they need to help heal you and repair you. And so movement gets that blood flowing, gets that oxygen flowing. Movement's great for the lymphatic system. Your lymphatic system is kind of your sewer system of your body, and it doesn't have pumps, so you actually have to actively get it moving. Unlike your bloodstream, it doesn't have pumps to move it, and so movement is a great way to get your lymphatic system flowing, which will help remove toxins, whether those are toxins that's contributing to your illness or toxins given off by your illness, like Lyme disease. The bugs give off toxins, and I want those out of my body. So movement's a great way to get your lymph flowing. Movement can also reduce pain and injury risk. And I know for some of you, you might be thinking, I'm in so much pain, I can't move right now. But if we can get you moving now, that can improve your pain levels in the long run. And I know it may seem hard at first, but there's ways that we can ease you into it and then improve your pain levels overall, which would be fantastic. I think, you know, when you're sick, you spend a lot more time seated and laying. I know I'm in bed a lot myself due to the chronic fatigue, or, you know, when I'm really not feeling well, whatever that may be. And that can actually skyrocket your pain and skyrocket your injury risk, even just from basic movements. Because you're getting blood pooling, you're getting tightening of muscles, you're weakening ligaments. Those are all not great things. So we do want to get moving. Movement's great for endorphins, for your mood, boosts endorphins. I think we all know the runner's high, but in general, exercise helps release endorphins, those feel-good hormones, and help reduce anxiety and depression that may be associated with illness or a symptom of illness or a result because you have negative feelings about being ill. Exercise also has immune boosting benefits. This is kind of a fine line here because it can definitely suppress your immune system, and we don't want that, but it does have the potential to improve immune function. Over exercising, constant high intensity workouts or high intensity workouts without proper nutrition and recovery will really decrease your immune system and can lead to further illness or lead to illness in the first place. Also, when you work out, for about 12 to 24 hours after your workout, your immune system is suppressed and then it starts to raise again. And so like your immune system's here after you work out, it'll decline and then it should come back up a little bit higher. So if you are exercising properly within your range with proper recovery and nutrition, you should be able to boost your immune system overall with exercise. But again, it's a fine line because if you're working out hard and your immune system's decreased, we need to be careful in this range so that we don't trigger your body and you're not leaving time for recovery, then you ultimately suppress your immune system. So there's some balance in there. I want to emphasize that exercise with illness doesn't have to look like how we traditionally think of it. Like I said, gym sessions, lifting, running 6 miles, interval sprints, that sort of stuff. Stretching counts. I'm going to talk about more of this a little bit later, but stretching counts and it's really important. Walking counts. Walking to your kitchen and back counts, especially if you're bedbound. Just getting those few steps in counts. Or walking up the driveway or around the block once, if that's all you can do, it counts. Working on basics like balancing, core strength, and postural movements all count and are all important, and we need those basics to be able to build strength and build your body up without injury. So we want to focus on kind of those core things, balance, postural, and core strength to get you to the next level and improve your healing. So some ground rules first for exercise with illness before we get into kind of what your workout should look like is that exercise can increase inflammation. So at post-workout, inflammation is increased. So exercise increases inflammation acutely. And so we need to, again, be careful in that time period after you work out to have proper nutrition and proper recovery. But if you're having hard workout and you're not letting your body recover, and then you're doing another hard workout, you're going to ultimately make that acute inflammation chronic. And you know, most of us know at this point that basis of disease really is inflammation, and so we don't want to exacerbate that in the wrong way. Exercise has the potential to ultimately reduce inflammation levels, but not if you're not doing it right and you're not recovering properly. A good rule of thumb is that when you finish a workout, you should have enough energy to do the whole thing again, especially when you're in your sickest phases and you're really in the recovery and not in remission. So if you do a workout and at the end you're like, wow, I have enough energy, I could do that whole thing again and feel fine, that's perfect. Stop there. If you finish a workout and you're like, I'm exhausted, I need a 3-hour nap, you did way too much and you overexerted your system. And now your body's gonna be sending all that energy to try and repair from the workout rather than repair kind of an already, I don't want to say damaged, but already a body that needs a little help right now. And so we need to be careful about how intense our workouts are. We don't want to burn out the adrenals. Many of us are already dealing with adrenal fatigue, but if you're not, you don't want to get to that point. And so again, we don't want to overdo that with extensive workouts. I think that it's best, I encourage clients to start with body weight or lightweight workouts. I found that they react much better to that than cardiovascular activity. Cardiovascular activity can just be too intense on the system, and weight workouts seem to go over better. So I advise staying away from cardiovascular unless it's like light walking or low impact until you know that you can handle that type of thing. Your breaks may need to be longer, so that's breaks between workouts. You may need to take 2 days off when you used to be able to take no time off or a day off. You may need more days between workouts. This also means breaks between exercises. So a lot of workout regimens will say, you know, do this lift and then take a 30 to 60 second break and do this next lift. You may need 2 minutes to recover and let your body calm down so that you're not overexerting yourself and being prone to injury. Stretching is super important. Again, I'm going to talk about this more. I keep bringing up stretching. I haven't talked about it yet, but I will. Stretching is absolutely vital. It's really vital for anybody, but especially when you're sick. We want to get that in. And then listening to your body. Rest always comes first. You know, I've talked about how important movement is, and it is really important that we find a routine that works for your illness and your situation, but you want to listen to your body first. And if it's saying, I cannot get out of bed today, I need to sleep, then we're going to sleep. So that's probably the biggest ground rule. Rest comes first. So let's talk about what a workout will look like, where you should start. Like I said, working on the basics like core strength, balance, and postural movements and stretches and exercises that's where I start with everybody, because those you need those to be able to build proper strength without injury, to be able to advance in exercises without injury or issues of any kind. And it's just a great, you know, we need those things on a daily basis. To walk requires balance and core strength and proper posture. And so that's, you know, to reach for something requires balance and core strength. So we want to work on those first and make sure we have that down before we're making things harder. I like to try and get people to do movement daily if they can. And even if that's just stretching in your bed for 1 to 5 minutes a day, like that counts, is my point. You know, movement does not have to be, oh, I have to go out for a 30-minute walk or get to the gym for half an hour, You know, I want to get you moving daily, but 1 to 5 minutes of stretching in your bed is important. And let's talk about stretching a little bit. So stretching is so important because it's going to reduce pain and risk of injury. Like I was saying earlier, when we're seated in bed, we're all tight. You know, most of us have really tight backs, especially if we're on the computer all day, because we're hunched over and our chest gets really tight, our neck gets tight, and our hip flexors get tight from sitting all day, our hips. And so that means when you go to work out, you can have a higher risk of injury because your ligaments and tendons are weaker and they're tighter. That increases pain levels as well, being all hunched over and kind of not having your muscles aligned and stretched out properly. I remember I had a really bad relapse a year and a half ago now, and I could not get out of bed, and I started having a lot of pain in my hips, and I was like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna spend 1 day out of my bed, 1 minute out of my bed each day stretching my hips. And you know, I thought I completely injured my hip, and it was just because it was so tight. And as soon as I started stretching daily, even though I wasn't working out, I was moving and getting that blood flow and getting that stretch in my hips. the pain subsided, and it was great. So that's why we need to be stretching, and that's why that counts as a movement piece. It's best to start with, shorter walks if you're handling walks, so that might be around the block once. Yoga is a great place to start because we're getting that stretching in and some strengthening as well. I advise starting with like short, not intense yoga videos you can find on YouTube, or going to restorative yoga classes. That's really where I want to start, is restorative, calm, not intense, hour-long hot yoga. We're not going to jump right into that. Tai Chi is another great one because you're building strength, balance, and core strength, which is fantastic. It's also best to try and find a routine that allows you to have consistency. So I don't want you going and be like, I didn't work out for 3 weeks, I'm gonna go do some hardcore intense workout to make up for that. Then you boost your inflammation, increase your pain, and you're in bed for the next 3 weeks. That's not gonna get you anywhere. We wanna find consistency. Even if that's once a week, you're able to get up and do something or go for a short walk, that's gonna slowly build your strength, better than doing sporadic, intense workouts that debilitate you. And then something that's really actually fascinating, I find this super fascinating, but also awesome, is the mind to muscle connection. So if you are bed bound, we can start with just having you lie there and thinking of mind muscle connection, thinking about activating muscles and maybe squeezing them. Like, you can lie in bed and squeeze your core, you can lie in bed and squeeze your butt, and get activation to those muscles that actually will build strength. A lot of the initial strength gains in workout routines are because you're building those neural connections, and so we can do that from your bed. And if you can't use one side of your body, you can still use the other side and be thinking about both sides working. I had a PICC line in my arm for 7 months, and I couldn't lift with this arm, but I would still do exercises with my left arm, and think about both sides working, and I actually didn't lose as much strength in my right arm as I could have because I was still working the other side. So unilateral exercises can still build muscle and strength bilaterally, not to the same degree, but that mind-muscle connection is huge. Started with just squeezing muscles while you were in bed, that counts. You can do body weight exercise. You can do your bicep curls without weight because you're still lifting forearm weight. That's gonna count. That's gonna build strength slowly and build you up. You can get 1 pound weights that you're just using in your bed, and you don't have to get up. And those are great places to start. So stretching into your bed, exercises, isolateral exercises, squeezing your glutes, squeezing muscle, mind-muscle connection. All of that can be done from the comfort of your bed and the safety of your bed if you are bed bound. So we can build your strength from there and build up. So that's where I'm at with the workouts, kind of what your workout should look like, and some things to keep in mind if you're working out with a chronic illness. And I'm gonna now do kind of a tutorial. So I'm gonna show you a couple exercises and then a couple great stretches that you can do from home. I'll show you a couple variations on how to make things easier or harder depending on where you're at. And if you are at home, you have the space to do it, I encourage you to follow along and do this with me. So let's get started. All right, so this first one is going to be a great core exercise. It's going to help build that core strength as well as your balance. So what we're going to do is start on all fours. You're going to have your hands directly under your shoulders and your knees under your hips, and then you want to have a nice flat back. So I don't want you rounded or arching. A nice flat back. From here, if you're beginning, this is a great place to start, is just lifting one arm up and holding for 3 to 10 seconds, and then coming down, and then doing the other arm, coming down, and then you'll do each leg. You want a nice extension from your hips all the way through your heel. I know you can't see my heel in this clip right now. And then the other leg, but what you don't want to do every time you lift is shift. So your goal is to tighten your core first. You're going to squeeze your belly button to your spine, keep your back flat, and then lift so that you're not moving around. And you don't want to advance this exercise until you have mastered the ability to hold an arm or a leg without shifting your weight around. Once you do get to that point where that's easy, you're going to do an opposite arm, opposite leg. So you'll extend both out, keeping your core very tight and maintaining that balance. And then you can do the other side. again, without shifting around. And when that gets easy, what you can do is lift and kind of do a mini crunch to build your core, and then lift back out. And then when that gets really easy, there's a lot of ways to advance this, but if you're way more advanced, you can do this in a plank position. So again, you'll have a straight line from your shoulders to your heels. You're not dropping your butt or lifting it in the air. And then you'll do the same thing. Arms, legs, one at a time without shifting your weight all over. And then when you get really strong, you can do opposite arm, opposite leg. I'm a little weak in this area. So I need to work on this. But that one's very difficult, just so you know. So that's a great way to build your core strength up. And it also works on balance because, as you can see, especially with the plank one, it takes a lot of balance. So the second exercise we're going to do is a balancing exercise. So I know you won't be able to see the top half of my body, and that doesn't matter as much. But you'll basically, to work on balance, you're just going to start on one foot. Now, if you've been bed bound or your balance is really bad, this may be hard enough right here. You may just have to start here. And what we want to work on is we don't want your knee coming in or you're shifting your weight a lot. So until you can manage balancing with a straight leg, I don't want it locked out. You have a slight bend in your knee. And again, if this is hard, you can put a toe down of your other foot to help with that balance. A great way to make sure that everything is in line and that you're staying balanced is squeezing your core, belly button to your spine, and squeezing your butt and your quad. That will help maintain the postural motion that you need in your legs as well as your balance. And then once this gets easy to work on balance further, we can do toe taps, kind of out to the side, the back and the front. As you can see, my balance is not very good today, of course. Usually this isn't too bad for me. This is a great way. You can put cones and things out and try and touch them. This is a great way to work on balance, especially balance with motion, because that's what walking is or running is, or if you're outside and, you know, you need to, a car comes, you need to jump out of the way, you jump onto the curb with one foot, that's balance and it's in motion. So that's a great way to start. The next thing to do is working on, as that gets easier, I like to do a lot of exercises while I'm balanced, whether that's bicep curls, lateral raises, upper body exercises that challenge my system pretty intensely. Challenges your balance, your core. You may work on strength this way. I'll balance while I'm brushing my teeth, which is another way to practice it if you just don't have time to fit it into your day. Do things while you brush your teeth. Sometimes I do squats while I brush my teeth, or I balance on one foot while I brush my teeth. That's a great time to utilize, not just standing there. So those are two great exercises to start with. Now I'm going to show you two awesome stretches. So the first one is going to be a chest opening stretch. So we're basically, I want you all to do this with me because no matter where you are, you can do this. You are going to grab your hands behind your back, and if you can't reach, then you can grab a towel or a pole or something like that. So you grasp your hands behind your back. You're going to roll your shoulders back and down, and then that might be a big enough stretch for you right now. But then you can start to lift your arms up and pull your shoulder blades together. So you want to be squeezing your shoulder blades here to really open up the front of your chest. Everybody can use this, no matter who you are, because we're all on our computers these days. So you will grasp your hands and squeeze your shoulder blades as you roll your shoulders back and down, and then you can lift your arms and start to feel that stretch across the front of your chest. You want to hold this for about 20 to 30 seconds. Really pull your hands back behind you to get that good stretch in your chest. This always feels so good. I spend so much of my time on my computer working. And do that a couple times a day, especially if you're at your desk. Otherwise, hold for 20 to 30 seconds, take a little breather, and then do another 20 to 30 seconds. The second stretch we're going to do is going to be for your hip flexors and your hips, because again, a lot of us are seated all day, so we get those tight hips. So what you're going to do is, and if this is hard to balance, you can have a stool next to you to hold on to, like this. But you're going to be in a kneeling position, so we're going to have one leg with your knee below your hip the other one with the leg at 90 degrees. And from here, where we're gonna start is we're gonna start with standing up. Nice tall posture, and then you're gonna squeeze your butt, and this actually will force your hip forward we don't want you to be arching or leaning all over the place because we want to protect your lower back. So you're gonna keep your core tight and squeeze your butt, and you should immediately start to feel that in the front of your hip. If you need a little bit more of a stretch, you can slowly push into it, leaning forward, and you're gonna push your hips forward. So you're not just pushing like half of your body forward. We're kind of moving everything forward so that we're still protecting the lower back with a tight core. So your abs should be tight in this position. Nice and tall with your upper body to elongate this whole area down across your hip flexor. Squeezing your butt. You should really feel that in the front of your hip. And then, like I said, you can slowly push forward if you need a little bit more of a stretch. But I don't want you doing weird things with your back or upper body. So you hold that for 20 to 30 seconds as well. And then we'd switch legs. Nice tall posture. Squeeze your butt. Squeezing and tucking your butt under should automatically stretch that hip flexor plenty. If you need a little bit more, slight lean of your whole body forward so that you're not arching your back. I love this stretch. My hips get so tight. I have weak hips, so this is a great one. So those are two great exercises and two great stretches to start with. I really just want to emphasize that when you are in recovery or you're sick, illness is hard, but movement is still important, but you have to balance it because you can over-exacerbate your nervous system and stress your immune system. And so you need to find the right balance that works for your body in your illness state, or I don't want to say your illness state, your healing state, your recovery process, because we're all healing, we're all recovered. So that's why it can be great to work with a personal trainer, but I will say a lot of trainers are not familiar with chronic illness and autoimmune disease and things like that. So you may have to interview a few trainers. You may have to go through a few. You need to ask them the questions, what's your experience in this? What's your training in this? Because that's not automatically taught in personal training courses. So if you have questions or you want to reach out to me about anything I discussed today, please feel free to do so. All my social media, like I said, will be linked so you can reach out. Leave questions in the comments and I will be checking them and answering them. But I hope that this was helpful. I hope that you learned some stuff and maybe you're a little bit more motivated to realize that you can still incorporate movement with autoimmune disease or chronic illness. It was great being here and I hope you all have a wonderful day.